Good morning. Welcome to today's webinar hosted by ManageEngine on optimizing IT performance in the era of modern hybrid networks. Thanks a lot for taking the time to join us today. My name is Neha and with me are Suresh and Daniel, and we will be the presenters for the day. This will be the agenda for the webinar. We will take you through the evolution of hybrid network and what the current scenario looks like. This will be followed by some challenges that organizations face as they adopt the modern hybrid network and our tips and tricks that will help you overcome these challenges. We will then take you through a short demo of our network performance monitoring and cloud monitoring tools, wrapping up the webinar with the question and answer session. It will be great to have your active participation throughout this webinar. So if you have any questions, please use the chat box in your GoToWebinar panel. Simply type in your question and click send. At the end of the presentation, we will take as many questions as possible. If we do not have the time to take all your queries, we will email you the answers within 3 working days. I am sure hybrid network infrastructures are nothing new to the IT community. So why this topic and why now? Let me take you through this hybrid network, into why it has come into being and why it has gained importance recently. The trusted traditional on-premises model consisted of an in-house data center that hosted the entire organization's services and hence boasted huge computing capacities. But the rather well-known downside to this model was the huge cost associated to purchasing individual licenses upfront, paying for the hardware, ongoing consulting fees, and dedicated IT staffing. These costs amounted to more than $100,000 a month, and even for medium-sized organizations. As technology evolved, cloud computing entered and disrupted the IT industry. Cloud brought with it the ability to access business data anytime and anywhere, along with the ability to increase and decrease the computing capabilities as per the needs of the organization. No upfront costs, no dedicated staff, no maintenance costs, and above all, pay-per-use pricing. This technology seemed promising enough to overthrow the traditional on-premises model altogether. But as we all know, it did not happen, and the fear of security vulnerabilities and the lack of control kept the adopters at bay. Although this situation was soon corrected by trusted players in the market, and Gartner's prediction grew to a whopping $1 trillion market associated with the shift in the cloud. A recent example is Netflix, the world's leading internet television network with over 93 million members spread across 190 countries. They decided to trust the public cloud services of Amazon Web Services and migrated all their customer-facing services to the cloud, trusting not only their ability to maintain the user experience, but also the security of the company's data. Talking about security, government regulations on securing customer data in certain countries requires organizations, especially financial organizations, to maintain this information on premises. This brought into picture the private cloud. Private cloud is a type of cloud computing that delivers similar advantages as public cloud, including scalability and self-service, but through a proprietary architecture. Unlike public clouds, which deliver services to multiple organizations, a private cloud is dedicated to a single organization. Thus, it's best for businesses with dynamic or unpredictable computing needs that require direct control over their environment. Since the infrastructure is dedicated and in many cases in-house, it provides the much needed control, visibility, and thus a sense of security to the organizations opting for this option. But private clouds have some disadvantage. They are They still carry the same staffing, maintenance, capital, and management costs as on-premise IT, along with expenses related to virtualization and cloud management tools. That's when the hybrid network infrastructure gained importance, taking a leap from all these computing technologies. It gave the user the flexibility to choose all the three options depending on the services hosted on each of these. The workload in this case is distributed amongst private and public cloud capabilities, while the business critical services are hosted on in-house legacy infrastructure models. Looking at its advantages, the adopters to this model have been increasing as proven by a Forrester research report which claims 58% of organizations to have adopted this model. This picture here clearly explains what a hybrid cloud model looks like. Organizations integrate computing capabilities of all their resources across on-premise, public and private clouds and fit and scale amongst each of these to achieve optimal performance. As we look towards this future, the greatest challenge you can face is keeping an eye on all these platforms. Legacy monitoring tools in this scenario will then not be enough. Let's look at how ManageEngine addresses issues across platforms, both on-premise and off. I would now like Suresh to take us through the challenges associated with on-premise infrastructure that ManageEngine addresses.
Hi, thank you for your time, Sneha. So in our example today, I'm going to talk about a real-life example of travel booking website that had an outage recently. So the outage was due to a small, a simple configuration change, but it had a huge impact on the business. So let's learn how effectively we can manage the configuration changes on the network devices. So to give you a brief about this company, it was the world's most busiest travel booking website, and it offers the flight and hotel booking from online, and it's being accessed by millions of users worldwide. So before we see the challenges faced by this organization, I'd like to give you an idea of how the infrastructure looks like. So this company had 15 data centers spread across the world, and they had hundreds of applications, thousands of servers, and hundreds of network devices from which they need to monitor the availability of the servers, applications, the processes, and they wanted to monitor the performance attributes on these servers and network devices like CPU, memory utilization, errors, discards, bandwidth utilization, and most importantly, they wanted to manage the backups on the network devices. So one fine day, the end users started experiencing multiple problems from different parts of the world. Some were experiencing a slow login, some were not able to complete the payment, and some were even not able to access the booking form. So when an users encounter an issue like this, how often do you think the users pick up a phone or send an email to the vendor and wait for them to resolve the problem? As long as there is an alternate way to do it, no matter what, they can shift to your competitor and to complete the job. So all that they want is 100% uptime. As a result, this company was losing most of their unhappy customers to the competitor. So this is a very critical problem that this company had to address with high priority. So let's see what is the situation at the IT bay. So the server admin working on things, and he's checking on things of the server health and confirms that things are fine with server, and maybe the application could be the problem. While the application admin checks his tool and confirms that even the application looks fine, but the problem could be with the network. So this happens in any organization when you deal with multiple teams and multiple tools to manage your IT. So what is the challenge? What actually caused the problem? How to find that one error that is messing up everything? As you all know, being an IT administrator is a stressful job, and you're always being blamed. The challenge today for network professionals is end-to-end visibility of the whole network. So what do organizations generally do to gain visibility into their IT operations? They generally deal with multiple tools, multiple teams to manage their whole IT. So they have, this company had different tools to manage their whole IT. There are so many different tools out there to monitor your whole IT. There are separate tools for monitoring your network, your servers, field user monitoring, database monitoring, applications monitoring, and so on. So like this company also had multiple tools from different vendors to manage their IT. There's nothing wrong in having multiple tools, but does it solve their problem? Does it help them identify the root cause of the problem easily? So it partially solves the problem, but it's a painful process when you deal with multiple tools from multiple vendors. So take a look at this chart. So the problem could be from anywhere. So the end user started facing multiple problems like slowness or unable to access the form or a login failure. But the problem could be from anywhere, maybe with a web or maybe with the application or maybe with the database, or even the problem could be with the ISP. So you never know where the root of the problem is. When you have multiple tools, they perform well individually. They talk different languages. They say where the problem is, but they cannot say what is the root cause of the problem. So how do you find and troubleshoot the issue easily? So when you look at this chart, we can clearly understand that the root of the problem was with the network. Maybe somebody changed the configuration on a router with the QoS policies that affected the bandwidth, where a non-business application was using much of the bandwidth and it was completely saturated, which is what making the SQL query to run slow, which is what making the JVM to run out of thread, and which is what the end users are facing it as login slow or unable to access the form. But when you deal with multiple tools from different vendors, they will not have a tight integration between the tools. The lack of integration will cost you higher downtime, and it will definitely take a longer time to identify the root cause of the problem. So what is the solution? How amazing it will be when you have one single platform that can help you solve most of your IT needs. And the solution is of Manager 12. Yes. From ManageEngine, we had picked the top 5 networking modules and developed a common framework for all these top 5 networking modules and built this of Manager 12. So it does the server and network devices health monitoring, like CPU, memory, disk, temperature monitoring, and the hardware sensors monitoring with Op Manager. And you can do a detailed bandwidth analysis with NetFlow Analyzer module. And you can also monitor the IP address and switch port using Optudal's module inside Op Manager. You can also monitor the firewall data using from the syslog with Firewall Analyzer module. And also, we have a Network Configuration Manager module that helps you back up all the configuration changes made on the network devices. This is what most important for this organization, to manage the backups on the network devices. So now we have all this integrated in one tool with Op Manager 12. So now I'm going to play a video and I'm going to explain how easy it is to identify the root cause of the problem that faced by this organization. So on the network, we saw that the router was dropping packets because the bandwidth was completely saturated. So there are 3 common reasons why the router drops packets. Maybe when the router was running with high CPU and memory utilization and is unable to process the packets. The router may be flooded with huge traffic that it cannot process the packets, or the router had a faulty configuration change which caused the problem. So now, with using Op Manager 12, I'm just logging into my alarm console, and I'm checking if there is any alarm recently for the network. Yeah, I can see a packet log alarm. I'm drilling down to the device to see if there is any spike on the CPU or memory utilization. So I can see that things are normal with CPU and memory utilization. Now let me check the device traffic. Yeah, even the device traffic is fine. Let me also check the in and out traffic to see if there is any spike. Things are normal here as well. So let me check if there are any configuration changes made on this router recently. I'm going to check if anything added recently. Yes, I can see that there are 2 items added to the configurations recently. And before analyzing the root cause of the problem, I'm going to rectify this immediately from the Org Manager tool itself. I'm going to upload the baseline configuration. Baseline configuration is nothing but the best working configuration on the network device. And now let me check the device page, and there is no packet loss. So the configuration is reverted to the best working configuration, and that fixed the problem in no time. So not only this, we can do a lot more with NCM module in Org Manager 12. Yeah. Maintaining regular backups of the network devices for every change is really important. They are handy and really helpful to restore your network faster. Without the backup, it will take a longer time to rebuild your network, and that will definitely cause a major impact to your business. The NCM module in Org Manager 12 allows you to back up the network device in 3 different ways. It can enable the change detection. It helps you track any change through syslog events. Whenever the user logs out from the terminal, a syslog event is triggered and NCM takes the backup immediately. You can also run an instant backup by getting inside the device page on NCM. And it also allows you to run a scheduled backup at a periodic interval, either daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. So baseline configuration. This is what is really important, that it helps fix the problem that the customer faced immediately. So you can set any backup version as the baseline version. Baseline versions are nothing but the best working configuration. And you can mark any one of the baseline backup version as the baseline version. So this will be helpful when there is a problem. It helps you restore the baseline version, and it helps enable the business continuity immediately. And role-based access controls. Generally, in any organization, there will be more admins, and mostly maximum of them will be having access to all the network devices. You'll be ending up missing something somewhere at some time. So using NCM, you can keep a check on the changes made by the network admins and the user. NCM sends out a notification for all changes requested by the users. So any change made by the unauthorized personnel are not implemented before administrative approval. And it also allows you to allow the rollback plan with a trusted configuration that it can do automatically. So you can create a profile, notification profile, and associate this with the device so that whenever a change is made on the device, NCM will apply the rollback plan and execute the previous or the baseline configuration immediately. The root cause analysis. Once after taking the corrective action to restore the network, now the job is to identify who did the change, what type of change, and what type of change was executed at what time, and so on. So each time the change happens, NCM will increment the backup version and store it. So it allows you to compare different versions and differentiate the changes. I believe now you know how to manage the backup on the network devices effectively. So we saw a use case to find and troubleshoot the issue from network part. So let me also jump into the product and show some of the integrated benefits with Org Manager 12. All right. So right now you're seeing the dashboard of Manager page. So let me take you to router snapshot page. So as we have the integration with multiple modules, you can see, you can find all the details like the health of the routers, the CPU, memory, the buffer mixes and buffer hits, all these details from the dashboard here itself. And you can also find the interface details, the in-traffic and out-traffic utilization. And you can also monitor the backup summary, the config changes trend, and so on. You can find all these information right there on the device snapshot page of the router. And you can monitor the top 10 data across sites, across different modules. So you can create widgets from different modules. If you want to monitor the firewall data, you create a separate dashboard, you can do that for NCM, NFA. So there are 200 plus widgets available across modules, as we have Auth Manager, NetFlow, Network Configuration Management, OpQRels, and Firewall. We have 200 plus widgets across all these modules, and you can create a dashboard for a module specific, or you can create a common dashboard that brings in the information of your whole network in one page. And so the business views are nothing but a logical group. So you can group your devices based on your need. And now that we have integration with NetFlow, so previously you can only monitor utilization based on SNMP data. Now that we have integration with NetFlow, you can also monitor the bandwidth utilization specific to application from the NetFlow data as well. So these are the standard reports that you can pull the report across various modules. And there's something new here with Auth Manager 12 that allows you to run multiple reports based on multiple devices and multiple performance metrics. And finally, once you generate the report, it also allows you to add data. And moreover, you have the unified alarm console where you can view the problems identified Auth Manager in one page, and you can filter this out based on active alarms or all alarms, and also you can filter this out based on the modules. Whether you want to see only the alarms from the NetFlow modules, or only alarms from the network configuration management, or only from the firewall, you can filter this out. Also, you can filter the dial based on time. So it only displays the alarms for last 1 hour, or last 2 hours, last 4 hours, and so on. And you can also automate certain jobs using workflows. So workflows are nothing but what actions that you can take as soon as an alarm is detected by Auth Manager. So you can automate some workflow tasks, and you can execute the workflow to be triggered on a scheduled basis or upon an event failure. So whenever such alarms happen, it will call the workflow to be executed immediately. Okay, all right. So with that, I'm completing my presentation. I'm handing it over to Sneha.
Thank you, Suresh, for taking us through the example. So before we commence with the next part of the webinar, I would like to remind you that you can send in your queries using the chat box on your GoToWebinar panel. Now that your on-premises challenges are looked after, let's take a look at how we address challenges that you might face when monitoring your cloud infrastructure. I would request Damien to take you through scenarios where ManageEngine has overcome such challenges.
Hi everyone, this is Daniel here from Site 24/7's support team. So Suresh explained you on the different challenges you face with an on-premises application, how to monitor your in-house applications servers using Op Manager and identifying the root cause and fixing them using our Op Manager tool. So here the problem was with the network, which was identified using Op Manager. So what if the issue is outside and with your third-party application which you have integrated? So how to identify those kind of issues? So ManageEngine offers Site 24/7, where we provide end-user experience monitoring which helps you identify. So first, let's take a case study done by us. A state's police department used to collect the parking tickets via their online websites. So there was a user who was not able to pay the fine online, and he traveled almost 50 miles to the police headquarters, and he was frustrated with this, and he informed the officer that he was not able to pay a $50 fine online, and he had to travel 15 miles to pay the parking ticket. So the officer escalated this to the IT team. So the IT team had their meeting where they had all the reports. So usually, as Suresh said, there will be different teams with their own monitoring tools, like server team will have their monitoring, applications team will have their monitoring. And there will always be a blame game within these teams, like the problem is with the server end or the problem is with the application end. So this is a day-to-day activity in any IT. So even with this scenario, they were not able to identify where the problem is. When they pulled out the reports from their in-house monitoring, everything seems to be working fine. So they was not able to identify any issues within their monitoring. So how to identify, and where Site 24/7 helps you identify these kind of issues is monitoring your application or sites from an end user perspective. So these are some of the challenges that were faced by the police department. So the downtimes are always not global. Your website may be available from one region, but not the other. And the blame game which happens where each team blames the other team to identify the issue. And at the end, they will not be able to identify the root cause of the issue with only the in-house monitoring tools. And there are possibilities that third-party content may affect the performance of your application. Say, for example, if you have integrated a payment gateway, your banking website, and if your banking application is down, with your in-house monitoring, you will not be able to identify it. So that's when we get to use the end-user experience monitoring. So at the end, the police department had no visibility on how the end users experience when they access their application. So now they move the focus to end user experience. So with Site 24/7, you will not be reactive, you will be proactive. So we will let you know even before your customers are affected. We will let you know regarding the outages or issues. Reduce the mean time to repair. We provide the root cause analysis report, which helps you identify where the problem is where you can fix the issues easily and reduce the downtimes. And you can make sure that the customers are satisfied with the performance. And you can monitor the complete infrastructure stack, not only within your network. You can monitor the DNS resolution, the ISP connectivity, firewall, load balancers, switches, routers, and also the service and app. So Site 24/7 has over 60 plus checkpoints across the globe, from where you'll be able to check whether your websites are available and how well the websites are performing. So website availability plays an important role in today's business because every millisecond counts. And with Site 24/7, you can keep track of your website's uptime, and you'll be the first to know of downtime. We offer a minimum check frequency of as low as 1 minute. And you can measure the website's responsiveness on how fast your website gives a response to a request, like the DNS time, the connection time, first byte and the last byte time. And apart from this, you can also make sure whether the correct content is delivered to your customers. You can check whether the expected page is loading using our content match features. So this is a snapshot of our website monitor page. Let me quickly take you through the product to show you how it works. So here you can provide the URL that needs to be monitored. So we will be sending HTTPS request to the target site, and based on the response received, we will report whether the site is up or down. It's not just a ping check. So we are going to check what is the response served by your server, whether it's a 200 response or a 500 response. And the check frequency can be defined, like as I said, from 1 minute. And you can also define the locations from where the checks has to be done. So you can receive priority notifications from where your customers are. So you can select the locations based on your customer base. And we have it across the globe, across different continents. And you can have some additional configuration like passing some parameters using the post method, or passing additional headers. And you can check for certain strings whether they are present or not. Say, for example, if you monitor a page with list of products and you want to check whether a specific product is available, you can check for that keyword and get notified when that product is not available. So these are some of the basic configurations. So once you set up the monitor, you'll be able to check the performance and availability from across the globe. So here we have the availability percentage, the response time, and the downtime. And with Site 24/7, we provide historical reporting, where from the day you create the monitor until it is removed, you'll be able to check for the report. So this way, you can compare how your website was performing before an update and after an update, or how it was performing the previous year with the current year. And we have the performance chart, which gives us the split up of the response time, like the DNS time, connection time, first byte, last byte time. So you'll be able to identify where the performance is. Is it with the connection or is it with the server's performance? That can be identified. And here we have the global availability stats from each and every location from where you monitor. You can check the availability. And also when there is an outage reported, you'll be able to check for the root cause analysis report. So for every downtimes, we will provide this root cause analysis report, which will have more information on why we report for the downtime. So here we have the checks done from multiple locations. We have ping analysis, a DNS analysis, a trace route report. With all this information, you'll be able to easily identify why the website was reported down. So as I said, you can reduce the mean time to repair. So that's about our website monitoring on how to check the availability from across the globe. So now moving on to the web application, the transaction monitoring, where you can check the customer's journey through your application, on how a customer interacts with your application and see how well it performs or whether it's accessible from different locations. So you can monitor complex applications that use modern web technologies like AJAX requests, form filling and login checks. And the traditional way of doing this application monitoring is writing scripts, but Site 24/7 provides or introduces a recorder tool with which you can easily record a transaction and you can have it monitored. And you can monitor the way the users interact with the website. The recorder tool will capture each and every element that you interact with, the mouse over actions. So the same way it will be simulated when the monitoring is done. And you also have the intelligent capture functionality with our recorder, where it has the capability of updating the web script automatically based on the changes done to your website. Say, for example, for enhancing the performance, you are moving a login action or a login button to a different position. So in that case, regular monitoring would fail, but Site 24/7 will be able to detect that change, specific action like the X path or the element ID, and we will try to locate that element using the intelligent capture, and we will update the script accordingly. So this is a recorder tool. So let me show you a live recorder tool. So this recorder tool is similar to a browser. So whatever you do this in this recorder tool will be captured for monitoring. So I'm loading a page, vtitle.com. I click on corporate, and then I click on products. So I have performed some 2 transactions in this page, and those will be captured. So we loaded the page, we clicked on corporate, and then products. So this way you can record any transaction and you'll be able to monitor it. So this is where the police department used our tool. They recorded the transaction on a user paying the parking ticket, and they identified there was an issue with the payment gateway where it took more time and a timeout reported from the banking application. So this was not identified with their in-house monitoring, but they were able to identify it using Site 24/7's web application monitoring. So now they have deployed this monitoring from across the globe, from whatever locations they want to monitor to check whether this specific application or the transaction is working or not. Because we would be able to provide you in which steps the transaction takes or which step takes more time. That's the recorder. So once we set up the monitor, once it is saved, so we can identify the performance. So we have the page load time, the time taken for each and every page in the transaction to load, the transaction time, the time taken for the entire transaction to complete, from the first step till the last step. And here we have the time taken across each and every step. So you can identify that whether a specific step is taking time. So here you can see that we have a spike in the second step, which has taken around 6,000 milliseconds. So there might be some issues with that specific step, which you can analyze and fix. So again, we will have the global availability stats, and we provide a screenshot of the correct transaction flow is being monitored. So for each and every step, we provide a screenshot along with its page load time, and also a comparative analysis of the time taken for each and every location-specific performance issues. So this is about our web application real browser, where you can go through your application's performance from an end user perspective using a real browser and the way they interact with your website. And you can identify performance issues not only within your application, but also other applications with which you have integrated. So you get the global performance visibility with Site 24/7. So now moving the focus to real user monitoring. So we have checked on how the end user's performances from monitoring from our servers. So let's focus on the real user monitoring on how actual users experience when they access your website. So here we have monitoring for desktop, mobile web, and native mobile applications as well. And this is not just an analytics tool which gives the numbers on the number of page views or the number of visitors, we provide information on how the application performs, which helps you troubleshoot and fix them even before the user's complaints. So we get the user's browser metrics. So monitoring is done by injecting a script in your website's HTML, where whenever a user tries to access the page, we will start capturing the metrics. So we will capture performance metrics like what is the performance when accessed from Chrome browser or Firefox browser, what is the performance across different devices like desktop, tablet or mobile. And you can also monitor the individual transactions on the different components. So load the content in the browser, and you'll be able to segment the performance by ISPs on which ISP is taking more time to load, so you can fix those issues as well. Okay? So we have the global performance, the ABDEX score, which helps you identify your customers' satisfaction level, whether they are satisfied, frustrated, or tolerated. And we have snapshots. So for performance issues, we'll be able to capture the snapshot from the user's machine. So here we have captured a snapshot where it has taken more time to load. So we provide the content split up based on the number of images, size of images, and based on the response time. So how long it took for images or scripts to load, and the top 5 contributors on the domain as well as the elements. So you can identify the resources that has caused the spike in the response time. And these metrics that we see here is captured from an actual user's visit from the user's browser. So for web transactions, we provide the components split up. So here we have a transaction which has taken around 200,000 milliseconds to load with one page view. So we can also get the split up of the response time on the page rendering time or the document processing time, the server time, which helps you identify where the performance issues and you can fix them. And we also provide the JavaScript errors thrown on the site. So the number of errors thrown and it's specific to browsers. So here we have an error page, and you can see from which browser specific to Chrome application. We have browser related, and also we provide the total page views. In the last 1 hour, we have over 8,000 page views using Chrome browser with 2,000 milliseconds. So this also helps you manage your resources. If we can see, we have very less number of users using Safari browser. So we can move our focus to enhance the performance with respect to Chrome browser, where we have more number of users. And geographic metrics across the globe, what is the performance of your website and the number of pages. You can also check your customer base, from which country we have more number of users accessing our site. And device-based metrics across different devices like Windows, Linux, Mac, iPhone, iPad, what is the performance and the number of pages. And ISP-related metrics across different ISPs. So you can check if a specific ISP is taking more time to load your page. You can work with them to see how the traffic can be routed and have the issue with the performance fixed. So this about the real user monitoring, where you can do user's perspective. So now that we have monitored the performance of your website from an end user perspective as well as a real user's perspective. So what if you have a distributed data center? So in today's world, it's important to have distributed data centers. So we take another scenario to discuss on monitoring the servers which is located across the globe. So we had a customer at a department stores where they have their retail stores across the globe. and they have servers installed in all their stores, and they are connected to the internet, and they had a requirement to monitor them. So when we take an on-premise monitoring, so we need to have a dedicated server running to have the monitoring done. So in this case, is it possible to install a dedicated server to monitor two servers that's available across each and every stores in different countries? So Site 24/7 has a centralized monitoring solution where we provide agent-based monitoring. All you need to do is to install Site 24/7's monitoring agent in each and every server that you need to monitor. The agent will capture the performance metrics and it will push the data to Site 24/7 server. So from one place, you'll be able to check how your servers perform across the globe. You can check the CPU utilization, memory utilization. You can check whether a service or process is running. And you get instant alerts. So if a site goes down or a server goes down, you'll be receiving instant alerts regarding the issue. So Site 24/7's 60+ monitoring locations are monitored using our server monitoring agent. We have deployed our agent in every location, and we are capturing the performance metrics, and we have them in our dashboard, so we can take preventive actions. Even before a server has some issues, we'll be able to fix them. So these are some of the resources we monitor: the CPU utilization, memory utilization, disk utilization, the services and processes. So let me quickly show you a demonstration of the server monitoring. So currently we support Windows, Linux, FreeBSD and OS X platforms. So you can download the agent from here, and we also provide bulk installation options where you can install the agent in hundreds, thousands of servers easily. And once the agent is installed, it's going to start capturing the performance and send them to Site 24/7. So here we have the CPU memory utilization, and thresholds can be configured for all the attributes that we monitor with Site 24/7. So that's proactive monitoring, where you will be notified even before an issue occurs. Say if the CPU is going to be around 80%, 90% for more than 10 minutes, 15 minutes, so you can receive an alert, so you can take preventive actions preventing a server crash. So we have CPU utilization, the processor queue and memory utilization, and the disk utilization. For every drive, you'll be able to set threshold values and get notified if a specific partition is going to exceed a threshold. Say if your log, those kind of things can be monitored. And we have the top processes by CPU and memory, which helps you identify the resource that is consuming more resources from your server, a specific process. And the system statistics on the total number of services, processes running, the uptime, the number of days the server is running without any outage, and some basic information on the servers, like what is the operating system, the architecture, and the RAM installed. And we can also monitor the services and processes, and you can set threshold values. So if a specific service or process is going to consume more of the CPU, so you can start or stop a service from the Site 24/7 client. There's no need for you to log into your server or take a VPN, connect it remotely. So from this client, we have this functionality to start or stop a service. And this functionality is available in our mobile app. So from anywhere you are, you'll be able to manage the services of your server. And then the network statistics. So the bandwidth utilization of the network cards. So if a specific network card is consuming more bandwidth, the data sent or received, you can get notifications. So we have plugins monitoring as well, where you can have custom performance metrics monitored. So if you want to monitor the hardware or the temperature, so you can write your own plugins, integrate with Site 24/7. Monitor the resources that you are running in the server. So like you can check a localhost URL, whether it's available or not, check whether a specific port is running, whether it's accessible. So file check access and permissions, and you can check whether a file is consuming more sites, like If your log file is going to consume like 80 MB or above that, you can get notification. And if a file is modified or not modified for a certain period of time, say if your application logs are not being modified for 30 minutes or 1 hour, there might be some issues with the application or it might not be running. So those kind of things can be monitored using the last modified check. You can check for the content in a file. In your log file, you can check for errors or exceptions and get notified accordingly. And similar checks we have for directory, where you can check for a directory size, if a subdirectory is available or not, a file is available or not, the access and permissions check. And above all, we have the event log monitoring, which is critical when it comes to monitoring a server. So if you have a backup job running, and if that backup fails, you need to get notified. So you can provide the event ID for the backup failure, and you can set threshold like if this event occurs for more than 5 times within 30 seconds, then trigger an alert. So this way you can keep informed of any events that occur in your server, any critical events or errors. In Linux, we have syslog monitoring. And again, for Linux, we have network file share monitoring. You can monitor whether a mounted drive is connected or if it is not, and get notification. So with Site 24/7, we offer out-of-the-box monitoring for your servers, where you can monitor the performance as well as the resources running in the server. And we give a graphical representation of the event logs, where you can get insight on the events logged by source, the events by type. So you can check if a specific source is having a more number of events logged. So that's a graphical representation. And you can also view the event logs from Site 24/7 client. There's no need for you to log into the server. So we can initiate a request. So the event logs will be displayed in Site 24/7 console. So that can be done. And you can also view the processes running and the services from the Site 24/7 client. So this way, the retail store, we are able to monitor the server's performance that we are deployed across the globe from one centralized location instead of deploying an on-premise solution in each and every location. So these are some of the snapshots of our iOS and Android applications, where you can start or stop a service from the app. So you can monitor the interfaces, the resource checks. So these are some snapshots which we already discussed within the product. And we also provide applications monitoring, where you can monitor the applications that are running in your server, like IIS, desktop. So performance metrics specific to those applications, like applications, application posts. So all those information can be monitored. You can get notified of them. And for cloud servers, we support Amazon Web Service monitoring, where you can monitor your AWS resources through CloudWatch. So you can monitor the entire application stack. And we have auto discovery, where you will automatically discover all the resources you have in your Amazon, and you can monitor it like EC2, RDS, DynamoDB, Elastic Load Balancers, and SMS topics. And you can integrate Site 24/7's monitoring agent with AWS CloudWatch metrics, so you can identify, detect issues within your AWS stack. So this is our feature set. So we are not limited only with website or server monitoring. So we are an all-in-one monitoring solution with which you can address most of the concerns you have within your IT. You can stop the blame game because you have the performance metrics of your entire infrastructure in one single console, where when a website goes down, you can check what is the performance of your server at that time. So that's about our product Site 24/7. So I now have this presentation transferred to Sneha, who will conclude the session.
Thank you, Daniel, for that interesting presentation. And now that we have our hybrid network infrastructure monitored covered, let's conclude by revisiting the important takeaways of the webinar. End user experience, the ultimate metric to IT performance, can be affected by failure in services either hosted on premises or off. As we migrate to a hybrid network infrastructure, ManageEngine provides you solutions to combat challenges faced in both these situations. With our on-premise network monitoring solution of Manager, you gain visibility and control over your network by managing and monitoring your physical and virtual servers, network bandwidth and firewall logs, as well as IP addresses and switch ports. For managing and monitoring your critical cloud-hosted applications, you have Site 24/7 that lets you have unified visibility into your cloud infrastructure. It allows you to analyze and segment performance based on browser, platform, geography, ISP, and more, thereby letting you watch the application experience of end users. Thank you. Now let's take a look at some of the questions. The first question that we have is, can I write my own script and run that on a scheduled basis?
Yeah, I guess the question is for Op Manager. Yes, you can do that. Luckily, I'm on the workflow page. So, just a moment. Yes, it is possible to do that. Let me just give me a quick minute. I can show you how we can do that. Yeah. So when you see at the left-hand side, you have a lot of things over here. So all that you need to do is just drag and drop the script. You can write your own script, and once that is completed, so you can not only you can execute this based on an event failure, you can also schedule this, just ensure it is associated to the required devices, and then you can just trigger this on a scheduled basis. Instead of alarm trigger, you have to check the schedule trigger, and you can run this either daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly based on your requirement. Hope that answers your question.
The next question that we have is, can we align automatic backup facility in the same hybrid application?
Yeah, I think there's one more question from the user. I would like to I'd like more information on that. So when you say, can we align automatic backup facility is available for the hybrid application, can you go ahead and explain over the use case, or are they looking for this on our network devices or on an application? No, we just monitor the health of the virtual servers, so we don't offer any backup solution towards this. It helps you monitor the health like CPU, memory, and other VMware performance metrics, but we can't manage the backups of VMware servers using Op Manager. I hope that answers your question. Let's take the next question now.
The next question that we have is there a way in Network Configuration Manager where I can restrict access for the user to upload configuration change on network device?
Yes, using NCM module and Op Manager can do that. All that you need to do is you have to create an operator user, and you need to allow creating the configuration changes for the operator user. The operator user can create a configuration changes that he wanted to make on the network devices. And once that is done, before he executes that on the network device, it comes to you for the administrator's approval. And once the administrator checks the configuration and things are fine, once he accepts, it goes to the network device. If he rejects, then the configuration changes are not uploaded on the network device. So you have to create an operator user in NCM to do that. And I think somebody is asking whether they can get the recording of this webinar. Yes, the recording of this webinar will be emailed to you.
Thank you, Suresh. And that brings us to the end of this webinar. We hope you found the information valuable. We will email you a recording of this webinar and the presentation slides soon. For more information on ManageEngine, you can visit www.manageengine.com. Thank you once again and have a great day.